Hello and welcome to Hair in the Hawthorn. My name's Kate Ray and I'm your host, and we have another in the mini-series of personal experiences within all kinds of weird happenings. So I think this is perhaps my third or fourth guest that I've had on in this series, and again I know nothing about what I'm going to be told, and as always I've been chatting to the guests prior to this, and it's yet another guest who I know I'm going to have back for a longer interview. And this one particularly, I think there's going to be so many questions and people wanting more, because even without hearing what he's going to talk about, I'm really intrigued about the tidbits that he's given me about his life and his experiences at a whole and how they interweave. So I am going to be getting him back, and it's definitely going to be a sit down and get a bottle of wine job, because it's going to be a long haul and it's going to be really, really good. And I just absolutely know it. So keep your eye out for that one. So I've got Leigh with me, and again, I've got no idea. Well, I've got an inkling actually of where we're going this, but I might be completely wrong. So welcome, Leigh, and thank you so much for sitting in on this YouTube chat with me. How are you doing?
Okay. Yeah, I'm doing really well, thank you. And thanks for inviting me on to a talk.
No, it's a pleasure. And like I say, I'm looking forward to that longer one. So let's get straight into this, because I think it's going to take us a little time to get a brain around some of these bits. I get that feeling, that kind of, you know, my spidey senses are definitely there with that one. So where do you want to start with? Where do you want to begin?
It's difficult to know where to begin, to be honest, because I've picked one particular episode of my life that there's a build up to it from childhood, and there's links to all sorts of different things, but say it's about 10 years ago. In fact, it might even be 10 years roughly to the day that this thing happened. Yeah, roughly to the day. I was, just before I came on tonight, I was going to double check the date of this occurrence. So anyway, I'm a gardener and a landscape gardener, so I spend pretty much 80% of my life outdoors, in people's gardens and on my own. So there's the opportunity to just listen to podcasts and listen to music and just potter around, do what I've got to do. So I was listening to a podcast from Howard Hughes. So Howard Hughes, radio presenter, and he does all the paranormal. I think it's called the Paranormal Podcast, actually. So I was listening to an interview with a woman who said that she could summon UFOs. So I thought, okay, well, I had an encounter when I was a child, when I was about 10. And I thought, well, let's see if I can do it. I thought, well, if this woman can do it, then surely anyone can do it. So anyway, I was in customer's garden, and I think I'd just cut the lawn. It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and sat down to have my lunch. So I sat there and I thought, right, okay, this lady meditates and she sends out these intentions to UFOs. So I thought, right, I'll do the same. So I sat there, meditated, and cleared my mind, and I was sending out the intention to come and visit, you know, and nothing happened. So I went home and carried on with my life. 2 weeks later, I was at the computer desk, and outside our porch, in fact, just I'm going to bring this in very quickly. I have a pair of binoculars that are hanging up on the door, by the back door, because I'd started to see UFOs weeks before. Intentionally, but anyway, so I'm sat at the computer desk. It's like, I don't know, it could be Saturday afternoon or wherever. Blue sky. Plant pot fell in the porch, and as soon as the plant pot fell, it's like a crash noise. It triggered something in my head, which was, go outside, you're going to see something. So I thought, okay. So it wasn't a voice. It wasn't like a telepathic, didn't hear any voice or anything. It was just a knowing. It was like, you are going to see something. So I got up, took the binoculars off the wall, and just looking at this patch of blue sky, I could see this, it looked like a line, just like a pencil line in the right way beyond the clouds in the blue sky. It was getting bigger and bigger. Just this line getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So this thing, whatever it was coming down. Binoculars out. So looking through the binoculars, and this thing came just below the clouds. Now, it wasn't a flying saucer. It wasn't a cigar shape. It was actually in the shape of a caterpillar. Right. So this thing would have been massive. It would have been massive. It was made up of these orbs, just all stuck together. And at the bottom of these orbs, there was like two hook things twisting around. And at the head was almost in like a ball and socket joint. And it was moving within this socket, and it had these two horns. It was luminescent, so it was glowing sort of from the inside, and each ball was like red, and I think it was like red and white. And so I called Lucy and I said, come and have a look at this. So we were looking at this thing through the binoculars, so it wasn't faint, it wasn't with just our eyes, you could see it clearly within these binoculars, and it was like a caterpillar on a thread. So drew it. It's a really rubbish drawing. even though I'm an artist, it's actually a rubbish drawing. But I don't know if can you see that?
Yeah, can see it. Yeah.
Right. So that's roughly what it looked like. But it was red and white and moving, contorting. Wasn't a helicopter. Wasn't a plane. Wasn't a satellite. Wasn't a balloon. It stayed there for a minute or two. So I called the children. Our children would have been in their 20s now, 10 years. So they would have been about 13 years old. So I called them and I said, girls, look, have a look, see what you think. And they were like, what on earth is that? And they were only looking at it with their eyes. So that's pretty much one story. So you go from me just sitting at the computer desk. 2 weeks before, you go from me meditating, asking to see something, to me sitting at the computer desk, having this feeling of knowing that something's going to be there, having a look, binoculars, giant caterpillar. So that was 10 years ago, and I've never stopped thinking about it.
I don't know whether you saw that when you got to that bit about what you'd seen in the sky, my grin went from like, I don't know where this is going, to like huge, because I had pretty much the same experience on an aeroplane, and I'll do a short about my experience of that. And I was talking to a mutual friend of ours, Neil Geddes Ward, about it on a podcast that I did with him, and he threw light on what it was, and he said, have you come across skyfish? Because I explained it as a dragon. I said that this thing was like, it moved like a dragon.
That's why I messaged you in the first place, because I listened to that podcast and I thought, I've got to tell him my story. However, then there's something else that crops up. Crop being the operative word. How I did that link was just amazing.
Seamless.
So, I've got a crop circle book.
Yeah.
Circles.
Yeah.
And I've had it for years. And I look through it every now and again and think, oh, wonderful. Until I was looking through this about three years ago. And I came across that
Oh no! Wow. No.
Who is it?
I don't know whether you can see. I
Alien.
am goosebumping.
Do
That
you
is.
remember me saying about the hooks at the bottom of the
Yeah.
caterpillar?
Yeah.
The hooks are there as well, and the horns at the top, and the way the head is inside some sort of
Yeah.
socket joint or something. So that's why it then made me think maybe crop circles aren't man-made. Maybe that creature that I saw is responsible for making that crop circle.
Yeah.
Almost like graffiti. Like
Yeah.
if if you're gonna tag on a train or whatever you do. I've never done it, but
I love that, the fact that aliens are that rebellious that they would graffiti the fields just out of the same reasons why human beings do it, to like, to mark territory or to. I love
right.
that idea.
But then the thing is, you've just said alien.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Are they alien?
Mm.
Are they from another planet? Are they? It got me thinking. I started then researching sky creatures, sky fish, and sky creatures, and it seems like there's a lot of people that have seen them.
Mm. Yeah.
In Mexico, apparently there's quite a lot of cases in Mexico of people seeing them.
But it's not something that you. I mean, I had never heard of it, and I class myself as somebody who's, the weird for me is normal, and I've done research since I was a kid into all kinds of different things, and the skyfish thing, and these kind of creatures that live, and they are huge, that live in the sky but aren't particularly visible to the naked eye, and are not often seen. It's why? How did I miss that? How did I miss? I've read things like 14 Times Journal for since I was a kid, and I can't remember anything ever being in the journals that were around at the time about the paranormal. It's crazy stuff.
I mean, I wonder if it is some sort of creature. Does it live in the upper atmosphere, like way beyond, where aircraft would be?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, what's interesting is I logged this on a website, so you can actually see the report that I did.
Yeah.
If you type in the internet Kings Norton,
Mm-hmm.
Caterpillar, and Lee Thatcher,
Yeah.
you should come up with a report that I did, and it turns out that somebody had commented on this website that I put the sighting on, and they'd seen it 20 minutes before in another town.
No.
About 15 minutes down the road. So this thing would obviously, but they described it as a windsock.
Yes.
Those socks. What? I don't know what is that what they're called? Windsock?
Yeah, the windsocks. Yeah.
And they didn't look at it through binoculars, but they saw it with their naked eye, and they thought it was a windsock.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is that I don't know why, but they must have thought it was of interest to log it on the same website.
Yeah.
So, and I've tried finding this person, because what synchronicities are like. Am I going to meet this guy in a couple of years' time? Mm-hmm. Is he going to be one of your guests? Do you know what I mean? It could be so you could interview this guy and he could say, yeah, well, I saw this caterpillar, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it might happen. Listen, I'm really mindful of time, and I know that this is going to go all over the place, and for me personally, this is a super subject starter. I desperately, like you, want to know and to meet other people who have seen these things, because even for me, when I saw it, was so difficult to comprehend, and I had somebody on the plane with me, sat behind me, who also witnessed it. I don't know if anybody else on the plane did, but I only knew that there were, and I'd always said it was a dragon or a dragon because I did not know how to describe this thing to people in the size of it and the way it moved. So please, if you've had this experience, if you know somebody who's had this kind of experience, if you've got any theories on this, or any literature out there that's good grounded literature about the encounters or about people's research, please drop it in the comments below. And if you've had one of these encounters, I don't know whether you'd be up for this, Leigh, if other people have had these encounters, if we get them on and do like a bit of a group chat about
I'll be up for that.
And sharing those experiences, because it is absolutely fascinating. And I'm gonna do my personal experience on it as well. So and I'll tell you all about that. For now, though, Leigh, I know that it's going to be an amazing chat when we get together.
I've got many other stories.
I know. I've just been so blessed with the people I meet, because it's like everybody who's coming on these minis are like, I could sit for days and talk, and it's going to be so fascinating. But we are running into the realms of a proper interview here. I'm very aware of that. So I want to thank you very, very much for joining me today, and I will see you very, very soon. And thanks for sharing that with us.
Thank you for inviting me to talk.
You're more than welcome.